Well, here's the situation. This ain't no conference call, and it's way more than a webinar. It's a virtual conference, and you are the speaker. So let's get you ready. Hey, how's it going? I'm A. Lee Judge, a speaker and the founder of content marketing company Content Monsta. This video series is for people who have been asked to speak at a virtual conference and suddenly find themselves having to figure out how to capture good video of themselves for their session or keynote. You've been asked to speak because you're an expert at what you do, not because you're skilled at creating video. This series will provide quick and simple tips to help you learn methods and even a few tools that will allow you to present yourself in a good light without having to spend time learning to be a video professional. We're going to cover topics related to your camera, your lighting, and most importantly, your sound. Again, this is not for video professionals, but for professionals that need to make good-looking video. Let's get started. Our first topic is your camera and its placement. How will you capture this video? In a different video, we'll cover recording on higher-end video cameras and DSLRs, but for now, let's talk about the 3 most common options for those new to capturing video presentations. Those 3 are built-in webcams, separate high-definition webcams, and smartphone cameras. The quality level of those types of cameras do actually fall in that order. Webcams built into your computer are okay, and they work, but they can be a challenge in regards to lighting and placement. Separate high-definition or HD webcams like this Logitech C920 do much better with clarity and adjusting for light conditions. And then there's your smartphone, which if you bought it in the past 5 years is probably way better than any webcam. I'll show you how to get the best results from each of these. Then you can choose which camera works best for you. First, some tips for using webcams built into your computer. The biggest issue that most people face with built-in webcams is camera placement. This applies to all cameras, but it's critical when dealing with built-in webcams. Allow me to introduce you to 3 video characters that you don't want to be. The hostage, plain background, too close to the wall, and harsh lighting. Try giving yourself some distance and allow the viewer to have a sense of your environment. By the way, you're not fooling anybody with that green screen or zoom background. It kind of makes your head shape funny. Just saying. And then there's the snob. This is where the camera is so low that the viewer is constantly looking up your nose. No matter what, you're looking down on us, and that doesn't feel good to watch very long. The groundhog. Far too much headroom. Don't belittle yourself by being the co-star to your ceiling. To avoid these characters is to understand framing. That is, where and how much of you takes up the screen. To avoid being the snob or the groundhog, remember this. Unless your room is really deep, we should see very little, if any, of your ceiling. Too much ceiling means that your camera is probably too low. No ceiling fan videos, please. Solve this by stacking your laptop onto several books or a crate to get the camera at or slightly above eye level. Good job, Governor. Make sure that not only is your camera at eye level, the screen is also not tilted away from you. While subtle, that will make your head look smaller than your chest because it's further away. If you find yourself leaning into the computer to get a better sound, stay tuned because we're going to fix that in a moment. Here's a very important thing to note. Look directly into the webcam, at least most of the time, to make eye contact with your audience. You'll lose their attention if you aren't giving them yours. When sitting, we should see you from about mid-chest, bottom of the frame, with only enough headroom for about 3 or 4 fingers above your head. If you're an animated speaker and use your hands, widen your shot a bit to include your elbows. When standing, like I'm doing now, we should see your elbows and up to about a hand width above your head. Learn to use the rule of thirds. Imagine your screen divided horizontally into thirds. Your eyes and nose should be along the upper third line, while leaving a couple of inches for headroom. You can check this by placing 2 or 3 fingers on top of your head to determine a decent amount of headroom between you and the top of the frame. When standing, be sure that you follow the audio tips coming up because built-in laptop mics don't sound very well from a distance. So let's recap the framing examples. Not too close and viewers aren't looking up your nose. You're not too far away or too low. You frame using the rule of thirds. Now let's talk about recording on your smartphone. Your smartphone is probably the best camera that you already have. Here are 2 key items you want to consider when using your smartphone. First is placement. To get your smartphone into an eye level and stable position, you want to mount it on a tripod or a light stand while using a phone holder or clip. A cheap tripod is always a solid investment if anyone in your household intends to make video. There are multiple types of cheap holders that you can choose, and most have a standard size screw hole for mounting. By the way, always film presentations with the phone in a horizontal or landscape position. Secondly, look into the camera. This might sound obvious, but with a smartphone camera in landscape position, the camera lens will be on the far right or far left of the device. While looking at yourself on the screen, you're looking off camera and will fail to make eye contact with your audience. If the camera lens is hard to see, like on iPhones, find out where it's at and always look directly into it when recording. It may even help not to use selfie mode and use the back camera on the phone. It's typically a better camera and easier to see, and you won't be as tempted to look at yourself. And finally, a few housekeeping tips. Clean your room from distractions. Get rid of moving objects such as fans, flickering lights, moving shadows, TVs, and of course people. Always remove other interesting objects like clothes, branded objects, or anything that will cause a distraction from the star of the show, you. Regardless of which camera you have available to use, follow these tips and you'll come out with much better video. But wait, you're only halfway there. In order to have great video, you must also have great audio. In the next video, we'll cover how to capture the best sound for your presentation. And if you have any questions about cameras, you can contact me at ContentMonsta.com. See you in the next video.